Physical preparations number 3 of 4, and by the sound of that, that means it would be great if you managed to look at numbers 1 and 2. They are available online. You can see those now and revisit them. Filey in North York, blimey, there you go. So far, what have we done? We have understood, or you have understood, what is fundamental to movement. You've looked at fundamental movement patterns. There are 6. I'm not going to test you, but you should know what the 6 are now. Understood the reasons for assessment. Tried some of the 5 holistic functional screens which we laid out, and used self-myofascial release as a way of intervention and improvement. So what are we going to do now? Well, first of all, I'm going to recap with you triple flexation, triple extension by way of a video you've probably seen, but I would like to show it again. So here we are. And the video should start. There we go. Amy with an overhead squat. That's a 15 kilo bar. And stop. You can see her there in full flexation before she goes to extension. That bar is only 15k. I say only 15k. You put a 15k bar over your head and hold that position. You're doing very well. Amy's a strong woman. You can see from the side elevation there that Amy's got a good ROM, range of movement. Yeah, you could pull bits of it apart if you like, but I think that's very good. Now here is my dearest friend. There we go, wham, overhead. But look at the drop point where Rob sat there. And that's with the 7-foot full bar. Bang, fast, up, down and sat. Excellent, thank you, Rob. Those are 20s on there, by the way, so that's 20, 40, 60 kilos overhead and squatted. So very good, but that doesn't mean anything. What it means is that Rob's range of movement is good. So I hope we're okay with that. Do start thinking about any questions you want to ask us about these, and certainly today's webinar. Okay, so now what? Well, now let's have a look at this. Your body is a wonderful thing. We talked about planes of movement. I think the one that I would ask you to look at, yes, we give you the proper name, sagittal, coronal, transverse. But the thing to understand is our body movement is not isolated. It moves in all 3 planes at all the time and requires neutral spine and pelvis. So that is your 3-dimensional animal. And when you're coaching, I would highly recommend that you start to move around your athletes and have a look and see what they're doing from every other angle that's there. Okay? So when you're coaching, how many times do you hear this? I need to do more miles. I need more core work. I need more volume. I need better core stability. I don't know what to do when I go to the gym. All of these numbers. Oh, I'm injured. Is running okay? How long before I can run again? Conditioning needs to be understood, managed, and systematically programmed throughout the year. It's a bit of an indictment, but you will hear an awful lot of this now. The core is only part of your trunk. Now, I'm not going to go through a functional anatomy exercise, but look at the 6 slides in front of you in no particular order, and you can see the muscle build-up over your trunk. And I should have cropped the arms really, so There'll be a few coaches out there going, "Man, the arms aren't part of the trunk." No, they're not part of the trunk. But you can see the layer of muscles throughout your trunk, that this is what we are trying to condition. Okay, so when you look at your athletes next time, and when you hear them say, "I need to work on my core," my normal riposte is why. Sorry, I just saw a question pop up and Dan very happily answered it for me. Thank you very much. Okay, so there's a view of the trunk. So core is but a part of it, and I would point you to bottom left and look at the hip complex there and see how crucial that is to physical preparation. Okay, hope you're happy with that. So what's the importance of the trunk in performance? It enhances performance by ensuring optimal movement patterns. Think about it. You see a really well-conditioned athlete. I'm not talking about a Mo Farah, but a well-conditioned athlete. You think, "Oh, they move really well." No, that's why they're well-conditioned. Improve coordination between the trunk and its extremities. Basically, we said that you move in multiple planes, but you move with your muscles linking in chains, the kinetic chain. Could be the posterior chain, is the one you hear lots about, where it moves from glutes down to your hamstrings, right through your posterior chain. Your spine, lots of segments, yeah, but it's the central pillar for force production. If you do not condition the muscles in and around your central pillar, you're going to increase the risk of injury. And good trunk good trunk physical preparation will decrease the risk. Athletic posture for optional length of tendon relationships was a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Yeah, but the good athletic posture will give you the right range of movement to produce the maximum amount of force that your body is able to. If you go over that, you're going to end up in problems. You're going to break down. You get localized, i.e. by individual muscle, global by groups of muscle stability. So you've got stability, allows for 3 planes of motion. Can we go back to the triplanar or 3-dimensional beast? Excuse me. Okay, so far. What happens if you don't do any trunk conditioning or physical preparation? My poor friend on the right of my screen has a wobbly tummy. The bucket, which is the hip complex, the water is pouring out the front. It could easily pour out the back, but that tends to be what you see. I'm going to be careful here not to, but I'm going to say if you watch a lot of the road running community, you see a lot of that because of the conditioning that doesn't tend to happen. And I hope that after these sessions, you will have fantastically conditioned athletes because there's not enough glute activation. And the hamstrings are stiff. Remember, going back to very, very early conversations we had, talking about should we actually really be stretching the hamstrings, or is it a case of flossing? And you have to go back to hamstrings. Should we be stretching parts 1 and 2, which are available? No, it's not, Darren, it's true. And on the left, you see a very happy person who's done lots of conditioning. Look at where the foot placement is in relation to the hips. It sort of gives it all away, really, doesn't it? All right, so there we are. There is happy chap and unhappy chap, or chapess, doesn't matter really. Yeah, all the muscles are all the same, just in different places. a little bit. There you go. So all good. Here is a slide looking at where we have stable and mobile joints, or should have, will have, yeah, where you want stability, where you want mobility. And you can see, unfortunately, we've taken all his muscles away. So Neil, who's there, morning Neil, is with working on self-myofascial release. This guy's not got much to work on. But if you add the tendons back into here and work on flossing, he's got a lot to work on. So there we are. There is a good schematic diagram of stable mobile, and you can see what's happening, or should be happening. And again, let's go back to your coaching. When you see your athletes, look in and around them, please. Okay, see them from every angle you possibly can. To look at every angle you can. Take pictures, take videos, look, study, learn, show them. They'll learn quicker. What causes injury? Wow. He says, looking at his notes, because I made a few notes. Poor physical preparation. Forget about accidents, people falling off bikes, but poor physical preparation within the running community. Oh, we don't do it, we just go for a run. Well, that can be a cause of injury. Okay. Do you remember in one of the early physical preparations in planning, we talked about super compensation? We will do a bit more on super compensation in part 4, but basically the loads the athlete can't handle at the time. You've thrown too much at them. They haven't had enough time to recover between hard sessions. Note, intense sessions, not just a recovery session, intense sessions. The volume, intensity and density and the rate of increase are wrong for that athlete. Remember, if you've got a group of 20 athletes, you might have to do things 20 different ways to achieve your end goal. Now, I'll give you an example here. Darren and I talked about this earlier of a group of lads within my group. They are all at college, just about thinking about university. They've got another year at college before university, so that gives you their biological age. Their training age, LTAD, is probably somewhere around 4 years. Okay, and currently, and this is just an example of a session, they can now put out 12 400s of 75 seconds of recovery mobile in 66 seconds. Okay, it's quite good. What I'm going to ask them to do in our next phase of training, or start to do, is to complete 15 400s in 75 seconds, so it's slower, but I'm only going to give them 60 seconds recovery. Now, if we can do that, we will then hope to, at some point, I don't know how long, we'll have to see what their adaptation is, come to a point where we are doing 10 400s in 64 off of 60 seconds. So you can see how volume, intensity, density, rate of increase, but that's with these guys. Okay. Exceeding the movement competencies and skills. You will see in part 4 where we actually find that some of my young ladies who've been doing excellent videos for you all, and I hope that you have been looking at those, get to a point where I say, well, stop, because they can't do it yet. So, and if you exceed those movement competencies, you cannot, if you exceed the movement competency, you're going to get injured because you can't do it, because you're going to be doing it folded up, for want of a better word. So why is mobility and flexibility important? Obviously, I say obviously, it's going to maintain or improve your athletic posture. It'll optimize the shape for force production. So we want to be able to produce force. We want to have better velocity, increased force. But if as long as you've got the right shape, it will handle it. Wrong shape, you'll fold up. It reduces the leakage. You will see people talk about leakage of energy. I've seen some pictures, videos of people doing multiple jumps, i.e. bunny hops, where the leakage of energy between the hops is enormous because the ground contact time is so long. Also, you will see the leakage of energy when people are running. We go right back to buckets and balloons, where the energy comes out of the bucket or the hip complex and it just leaks out because it's not held. There's no glute activation. It supports your breathing, your respiratory mechanics. Okay. Talk to anybody who goes to Pilates and yoga, it'll support your respiratory system. It reduces injury risk by improved stretch tolerance. So your muscles do get the idea. They've got memory and they get stronger. And it assists recovery from training and competition. Remember, in some competitions, you might have heats and semis and finals in the space of a few days or even 2 days. Are we okay there? Okay. Other methods you might use to develop flexibility and mobility. All the things that we have emphasized, using the usable range that you've got. Go back to the very basics of fundamental movement: double, single, push, pull, twist, land, brace. We've got those now, I hope. Yep, and you hope that you and your athletes have been practicing them. Any general preparatory exercise, i.e. another exercise which has excellent shape, is good. We have to underline excellent shape. Multi-directional movements. Do you remember Harriet doing forwards and backward lunges? Yeah, we need to have that 3-dimensional approach. And from your coaching perspective, have you programmed this into your warm-up and cool down? Again, I can extol Neil down there in Plymouth. What those guys do in car parks is amazing. It's great. It's part of the warm-up. It's part of the cool down. It's a standalone session. You don't need a gym. You don't need very much other than a mat. Okay. Why do we want to do this? We want to, in my view, create what we know as a robust athlete. Someone who can handle loads and progressions week after week, session after session, month after month, year after year, and progresses at the same time. Doesn't stagnate, progresses. And you're going to have to do that with a coach that understands what a balanced program looks like. If we go back to, let's start with planning that we did, how we created that program. And together they agree that the athlete earns the right to progress. And he asks them to, don't be in a rush, hurry slowly. You'll be saying that, well, should we have, let's start with sweatshirts printed with hurry slowly on the back. Right, so some trunk conditioning, and again we have underlined some trunk conditioning. If you go back to our conditioning, let's start with, in our first 4 webinars, we looked at bridge, bug, plank variations. Okay, we do not have the volume on our platform here to show those all again, but you can go back and you can see them online, so they're good, they're there. I'm going to introduce some other trunk conditioning through throws, and we're going to see my team of intrepid ladies throwing a 3K medicine ball. Okay, it's a good quality medicine ball because you'll see that the thing bounces rather than hit the floor and stays there. So we're going to look at a vertical throw where the ball is identified as returning to the point of release. An overhead throw for distance, a chop using the diagonal. So we're starting to talk about the 3-dimensional beast. We are looking at a football throw, or a type of throw that a football would use to create power. A chest pass, for those of you that have been to netball, a flat bedded throw. A lunge, throwing to wall. A seated hinge to wall, and an underarm forward throw. These are not the total amount that you can do. I have just picked these, and these are ones that you will be able to see Amy and Harriet and Laura doing in different ways, in different environments in the video. So if you're ready, we're going to have a look at those. So here we go. There's about 4 minutes of video, and I'll talk through them. We can show it again if you want to see it again at some point, or during this one. Just let Darren know, and I'll do it again because I can see the words coming in at the bottom. So here we go. Now, Amy, 3K medicine ball, straight up in the air, triple flexation, triple extension, comes down. Amy doesn't have to move very much to get the ball back. Quite a lot of power going in there. Squat, extend, pull, squat, extend, pull. Pretty good. Now, Harriet doing the same exercise. I'm going to stop that one. Quick mark, stop it. There. Oh, lovely. Great stuff. What do you see about Harriet's arms? Harriet's arms are straight as she's going into the squat. They remain straight as she powers the ball up into the air. Amy's was slightly bent. Now, that's not because Amy was doing it wrong. Amy needs to just do a little bit more preparation to get there. So bang, up into the air. Harriet has to move a little bit, not much. Here we are on a very rainy track doing the similar exercise. Laura, in your own time. Oh, we'll come back to Laura in a minute. So we're going to slam, squat, slam, squat, slam. Powerful. Don't put your nose in the way because the ball will bounce into it. Squat and slam. There. Now look at that. Power. Squat, slam, squat. All of this is trunk. Conditioning for the trunk. Brilliant. Brilliant. Okay. Overhead for distance. Wait a minute. Stop. Laura is very powerful and does come originally from a pole vault background, and you can see the power that Laura can put into that ball, and that is the type of shape that I would love to see your guys being able to do. And Laura has done it through practice. Bang. You see the difference? It's just that Amy's not quite there. So she had to come to my place as a punishment? No, I asked her to. And we did some practicing. Harriet doing the same thing. Harriet, very powerful, very explosive. Didn't have the benefit of a hill, so she's got to run after the ball to get it. 3K ball, squat, straight arm, bang. Comes off the floor with the power. A chop. Diagonals. Here we are in a garage. We call it the pain cave. Straighten her arms, please, Amy. But it's there. Pull, squat. Obviously, you've got two sides to your body, so we go left to right, right to left. You could even do this as a partner. There's Harriet. And you can see Harriet's ball doesn't bounce that well on the grass, which means she hasn't got to run after it. Forward throw, difficult. So squat to project forward, and Amy's got to come off the ground to throw that ball. Ball slipped, it was wet. Now, this is a really good example. Look at the body position of Amy. She throws against the wall over the leg. Look at the position of Laura. Let's see whether could we be... I'm just replaying a little bit. I want you to look at Laura's position in the squat as she throws the medicine ball in a minute, in the lunge as she throws the medicine ball in a minute. So we want Amy to get lower, basically. I want more of a right angle. Look, there.
Now.
So here's the football throw. Push. More, harder, faster.
Ready, go.
And you can see the reaction time you've got to have, because that ball's going to come back off the ball, poof, quite fast.
Catch it and stop and set.
Chest pass. Could be a bit flatter, please, Amy, but it's pretty good. There we go. Flat. Bang. Seated, twist, hinge. Amy's good here. Very good. And Laura's struggling a little bit, but she's got it. She's pushing with the hand. I want you to throw the ball. So there we go. There are my version of multi-throws and trunk conditioning. Does anybody would like me to replay that 4-minute sequence? Are you okay? What do you reckon, Darren? Can we replay, please? Okay. I'll replay and talk, but I won't stop it this time. Okay. So we got another 4 minutes of my lovely young ladies.
Time.
They are lovely. They're great.
After.
There we go. So we go overhead, ball to come down where you left it. Straight her arms, yeah. Triple extension, triple flexation. Bit of moving, had to go running after the ball. Not bad. Look at this. That's good. Bang. But still had to go and get it. Point of release was not quite overhead. There you go. Laura, the pole vaulter, ex-pole vaulter, she would say. Need to have explosion, power, explosion. These are examples of athletes who are progressing through the pyramid of throws. So this is not the pinnacle, but they're getting there. It's good. Slam to the floor. Bang.
Force, power.
These are all endurance athletes. This is all underpinning their shape. Bang. Great throw. I could show you pictures of these guys actually in running mode on a track, and you can see why. We might try and do that a little bit later on. Note to self, Darren, not today, another time.
Now.
Amy got put off by the ball coming back at her. That's a really good throw, Harriet. Unfortunately, you should have had your brother down the other end rolling them back to you see. I can see Ian's typed in there, should the athlete with the forward throw run out? Only when they can forward throw properly. It's a progression to run out to, you can even go to a buddy jump with a ball over mini hurdles to forward throw and run out, but get the right patterns in there first. Difficult, and the hand slipped, it was wet. Look at the range of movement on in the lunge, lower, and you can see that the lead foot is wobbly there. Really stable base there from Laura. Great.
Now.
Bang.
Ready, go. Brilliant. Catch it and stop and set. Ready.
Hinge, remember our fundamental movements?
Yeah.
There's a hinge. That's not a very good hinge, Laura, and she knows it. Yeah. But some of her other exercises were absolutely fantastic. So there we are. We've had a good look at those young ladies. And if Darren is ready, we'll try and answer your questions. And I say try. If I can't, I'll point you to somewhere, and I can also see these athletes at another time. Okay, so let's have some questions. I think I saw that answered online, but it is constraint learning from the athlete. Basically, the athlete learns by the amount, a range of movements that they can do, and progresses to the movements they will be able to do when they are ready. Do you have a good resource on flossing? There's a fantastic resource on flossing, James. You go to the Athletics Hub and you look for hamstrings, should we be stretching them, part 1 and 2, done by my physiotherapist friend Jerry Powell, who basically is from the Formula One circuit, boys, so he knows what he's talking about. And you will then see resource on flossing. If an athlete has spinal weakness because of injury, how can he come out from that? Planks, bugs, and the general proprietary exercises that we stopped. Yeah, because spinal weakness because of injury, providing the injury has been addressed and we don't know what the injury is, you can start to strengthen the spinal column by those basic exercises and move on only when they can do them properly. It may come up in the presentation, but just in case, Mark, please comment on movement at the shoulder, i.e. moving around the shoulder, which is relatively immobile. And sorry, I'm happy to read this. And the movements off the shoulder, the girdle rotation. How much should each? Wow, that's a bit of a longie, isn't it? I'm going back to the screening where we looked at the movement around the shoulder muscles. Could you touch your hands along the bar that was going down your spine? Talking about pocket to socket, hip pocket, shake a hand when you're moving. How much range of movement do you actually physically need, and work on that range of movement. What we're looking for is the range of movement from the shoulder to the arm without the shoulders actually either ending up in your ears or rotating themselves. Probably not quite the length of answer you'd like, but if you want to throw me an email or put something on the Swen website, I'd be delighted to answer it in more depth. Would you use flossing as a remedy to the athlete's pelvic tilt and bucket, or would you use that? I wouldn't use flossing as part of the remedy for that. No, I would use for if you've got pelvic tilt, I would look for these general proprietary exercises to get that bucket, the hip complex stronger. I've seen that come up. So who told me what the medicine balls were that they were using? Well, I can't read that. It's a. Do you want me to go to a cupboard and show you the medicine ball? Hang on, we got time. All right, I'll do it in a minute. I'll do it by the end. I'll find the medicine ball for you. It's a Pro Ball, a Nike Pro Ball, I think you'll find. How many days a week do you meet with your athletes, and is the throwing part of a session? Yeah. How often do we meet? Currently, because of the lovely lockdown thing and the easing, we meet twice a week. And as part of the warm-up, we will sometimes do throwing and sometimes do jumping, and they are instructed and do all of these in their physical preparation sessions at home on a Monday, because normally without lockdown we would have done a physical preparation with some running on a Monday as well. Do I have regressions for these? I assume, Catherine, you mean where do you start? I would start with bugs and planks. I would not start with a 3K medicine ball. I would start with a lighter medicine ball, and I might even go with a virtual medicine ball. I want to see you go through these shapes with a ball. But what I do suggest you do, if you're really interested in where you start from these, from a coaching perspective or athlete, movement skill part 1 or movement skill 1 is now an online course, and there does go into run and throw in there. Is this part of endurance training? Certainly, absolutely. It goes on for a long time. It's very tiring, and you are therefore at the end of it, and I don't mean at the end of the session because you're tired, but at the end of doing this on a regular basis, you can then hold the correct shape for longer, run faster and further. Are you concerned about hyperextension in lumbar spine with some of these throws? Not with this lot. I know what you're saying, Ian. Remember that we have come to this point with these athletes from years of training and getting the fundamental movement shapes right. So the actual trunk, and there is very little hyperextension going on. It's all under control. In the forward throw, should the athlete run out of the movement? Oh, hello, Ian. Seen this in a past session? Yes, you certainly have, and you've seen me do it as part of a Swen movement. What I would say is, and this is a lovely progressional, how would you progress this to a run and throw situation? You'd start off with the actual throw. Can we perfect the throw? So can you throw, come off the floor, get the same angle time after time after time? Then what I would then say, can you now bunny hop? Take 3 mini hurdles. Can you bunny hop over the hurdles and land in squat at the end? Can you then bunny hop over the 3 hurdles, land in squat at the end with a medicine ball in your hand? Can you then bound over the 3 hurdles, land in squat in the end with some ball in your hand and throw it? Those are the progressions, and that is tricky. And I will tell you now that none of those ladies can do all 3 of those yet. We had a go the other day, and we were in fits of giggles at the end. But yes, that is a progression. Are all these exercise practice at the same? No, we mix them up. We don't have, like you, I guess, Sylvia. We don't have time. If we did have time, I still would mix them up. And I put them in as part of the warm-up, maybe part of the cool-down in an Oregon session. I'm busy, or not busy at all. I haven't started, but I am thinking about writing my general preparation phase series for my athletes, and I am going to program 2 Oregons in a 6-week cycle for them. So that is when we will be really practicing these, but I do even throw them in and warm-up. Yeah, don't make the athlete too stiff, and you can see from various points where you can create power. I think that the thought is that every athlete is an individual as one. People whose heads roll, but they're still very quick. Well, that's what it is. But please think in the general sense that we're talking about trunk, but there is some shoulder rotation which can add, if under control, some power. If a javelin athlete, I'll become a throws coach now. Don't tell the throws guys down, for goodness sake. How can, well, I would start with resistance bands. And you can get a whole variety of resistance bands. And Darren and I were talking about this before we came online, but actually anchoring a fairly light resistance band and starting to go through that range of motion with the athlete to throw in a throw, so you get resistance. However, if your injury and back is that bad, I would, you cannot even get to that, I would say forget the throwing. Shall we go to bug and plank to begin with? So you've got multiple ranges of movement with your limbs holding your trunk, and then progress to using resistance bands. Oh, sorry, Joe, I missed the question. The throws have been really interesting. Are you going to show some jumps in the next webinar, or are they on the previous one? Well, Joe, what we're going to try and do, we've already got some videos ready for Darren to do his magic with, and he doesn't know it yet, is some aggression on multiple jumps. These are basically, they come from a science called pyramids, and what you've seen is part of the multiple throw pyramid. Next time we will start to look at the multi-jump pyramid, but you will see where I've actually stopped my guys, young ladies, because they can't go any further up the pyramid. But I will show you some fairly well documented videos of people doing them really well. So the answer to your question is in part 4, Joe. Yep, you can. It will be posted on Athletics Hub. Normally takes 5 days. That was a pretty succinct answer, wasn't it? Is there any place for keeping the bucket level in running, or do we rely on good? Well, I started with this by just getting my athletes to stand. Now, standing with really good posture, with a balloon, helium balloon, virtual, pinned to their head, so it's pulling them up nice and tall, with their feet shoulder width apart and pointing in the direction of travel, i.e. not pointing inwards or outwards, and then say, right, I want you to now push your feet out but leave them nailed to the floor, i.e. you engage the glute at the side and try and reduce the distance between your navel and your pubic bone or pubic line, and that will help you put the bucket in the right place. And then I did have one athlete saying, after making lots of strange faces, am I supposed to do that when I'm running? I said, you will naturally do it when you're running if you start to just think of reducing the line between your navel and your pubic bone. Sorry to seem ignorant, but what's an Oregon session? Oh, Tony, please. It's not an ignorant question, it's a great question. If you go back to the Let's Start With original series, there is Let's Start With Oregon, so you can have a look at the whole thing. But an Oregon session is a session where you mix exercises with running. So, for example, if you were lucky enough to have a 400-meter track, you put a mat out on the track at the side of the track on one point, run 400 meters, come in, do an exercise, have a recovery period, go out, run again for as many times and as many exercises that you wish to do. Well, what if we haven't got a track? Do it in a car park. Speak to Neil Williams, who has pictures of people doing Oregons in car parks all over the place. Do them in your local park, whereby you could maybe run a loop and come into a middle, or on a hill session, sprint up a hill, do the exercise, jog down, sprint up the hill. The key is absolutely nailed exercises and nothing else. Do we have any more questions? While Darren's giving you some ideas on more questions, as we said, what we've got is physical prep 4 coming up, which will include the multiple jump pyramid and a view of the multiple throws pyramid. There will be a physical prep 5 whereby we will discuss or wrap up, wash up, clean up the 4 previous units, so bringing it all together, which will be more Q&A than presentation, I fear, at the moment. And then Darren and I are going to go away on holiday again, and I think we might come back for something else, and it will be based around physical prep, I assure you, for endurance in inverted commas, but it transcends through all sports. We had a fantastic letter come in off the last one from Isabel from Ipswich Triathlon. I don't know if you're out there this morning, Isabel, but it was great. This training is good for young athletes 10 years and below. No, not with the 3K medicine ball, but the movement shapes are. And I would not be getting them to do the multi-jumps as yet, but I would certainly get them to hop and skip. Respine rotation. Well, thank you, Ian. Ian is one of our Swen coaches. Very well knowledge. Have a look at that. There you go. Thank you, Ian. You can chat to Ian online at Swen, and you can also, if we ever get to the point and having a Swen conference, you can meet him in person. Perhaps we should try and do a multi-feature Swen conference. That'd be far too much. The technology doesn't work with two of us. Also, guys, remember, if you want to have a virtual get together in as far as a race or a run, we do have the Swen Half Marathon, which is free to enter, and it doesn't matter what country or county you're in. Have a go at that. Enter online. Be a good place for you guys to meet up and see how you're doing against each other. And it could be a good place to say, right, this is why I need to do some more physical prep. Oh, by the way, the half marathon is open to all. You could be race walkers, runners, wheelchair, doesn't matter. I think it does. I think that just about wraps it up. We did. Oh wow, we've scooted along for time. Doesn't time fly? I wish you all a fantastic bank holiday weekend. I hope that you've enjoyed part 3. Part 4 will come up in 2 weeks' time. As we said, we will try and wrap it up together with a 5th one where we will just try and bring it together. And then you can hear my voice, it needs a holiday. And we're going to go away for a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks, while we discuss where we're going to bring it forward. I hope you all enjoyed it. Been lovely to see you all. Great ideas we've chucked out there. Go do them. I think that's it. Get the t-shirt. Physical preparation. Hurry slowly. I'm going to go offline now, and I'm sure Darren will just finish off for me. Thank you very much, and goodbye, folks.